On today's Andy Ari on 3 presented by BetMGM, it is a pick show. We got some huge games to pick. Ohio State and Penn State in what we thought was going to be the biggest game in the Big Ten, but maybe not. But we've also got Vandy at Texas, Miami at SMU, Florida, Georgia, and Jacksonville. And let's not forget USC headed to Lincoln to play Nebraska. We'll pick those and more on today's Andy Ari on 3 presented by BetMGM. We are presented by BetMGM. We use BetMGM lines and totals. And you can join us by joining BetMGM. If you have not signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB as in college football, CFB, and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how that works. Download the BetMGM app and sign on using the bonus code CFB. Deposit at least $10 to place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code CFB when you're signing up. So download the app, deposit at least $10, place your first wager, up to $1,500 if your first bet loses. Use the bonus code CFB when you sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary with BetMGM. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. Call 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa or 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3 presented by BetMGM. It is a picks show. We have games to pick. If you are coming in here going, wait, you're not talking about Brian Kelly? Don't worry. We had an entire show on Brian Kelly getting fired, about potential candidates at LSU. You can find that show at the On3 Sports YouTube channel. You can also find it on all of your podcast feeds. So if you have not caught up on that, if you're like, wait a second, you're ignoring the biggest story. No, we're not. We got it. But you can talk, you watch that one. A little bit of news on Monday, Ari. Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator, was fired. And Alex Atkins, late of Florida State, is going to be the play caller for the rest of the way.
Yeah. Happy that you got that little piece of news into the show. I feel like we've been recording nonstop for the past week, and I'm happy to be back here today. So, yeah, it was a good conversation about Brian Kelly. I thought we did a pretty good job on Saturday night in the instant reaction show, talking about the possibility that it was no longer a tenable situation. Things happen quickly and slowly, depending on how you define it on Sunday. And, here we are. But yeah, go check out that video in your feeds, both. I think it's in the podcast feed too, right? And
it is. Yep.
So yeah, go check it out.
Now let's get to the picks. Records. Well, Ari, you did better this week.
Yeah.
You still didn't do better than me, but you did better.
No. And I think that we should all take a moment and just give Andy Staples a round of applause for just nailing that Texas game. Congratulations.
Hey,
good picking. Good picking.
Listen, the Texas-Mississippi State game with Texas covering in overtime was just erased from the board, though, by the Michigan State backdoor cover. So
that was also
it all came out in the wash.
But I was also on Michigan.
Yeah, well, but I'm more right than you. Yeah. My overall record is 46-37-1, and yours is 32-51-1.
Listen, we've gotten to Ari's bitter portion of the season, okay? So can you just let me bitch a little bit? Like, I'm pissed.
Oh, I'm due for a 1-8.
Yeah,
it's coming. It's just a matter of time.
I felt like that was a 6-4 week for me, and two terrible backdoor. I don't know if Texas is a backdoor. I guess if you're down by 17 with 10 minutes to go and you're taking plus 6.5, you think you're pretty good about it. But That's gambling. That's the fun of it. That's why we're here and we're doing our best. My record is awful. I'm embarrassed, and I'm going to do my best to eke back to 500 by the end of the year. I'm going to try. That's one.
Yeah, I am due for a 1-8, and I understand this. So,
last year I had a few 7-1 weeks. I need a 7-1 week. Maybe it's this week.
Well, we picked 9 games, so it's 8-1 or 7-2 would be better.
Yeah. Do we always pick 9 games?
We usually pick 9 games.
Okay.
I don't know how we settled on 9. I think we don't put 9 in the graphic, but 9 usually seems like a good number for this show. So, want to start with the game we're going to?
Yeah, sure. Let's start with the Confusion Bowl. I'm very confused.
That's right. Penn State at Ohio State. We are going there. We're going to be there with Modelo. You can find us. They call it the Panera Lot. And that is where the Modelo activation will be. We're going to be doing a show on Saturday morning. We're going to be yucking it up with the folks. So come on by and say hello. We will be there in the morning before the game. Obviously, everybody's going to be there bright and early because it's a noon kickoff. Big noon, baby. Woo!
How early do you think Panera serves broccoli and cheese soup?
The soups, I believe, go on sale at about 10:30 in the morning. So you could grab a soup, I think, and then get into the stadium.
It's a great location, right on the other side of Lane Avenue.
I've done a lot of work at that Panera in my lifetime.
Because back in the day, before McDonald's had reliable Wi-Fi, that was the closest place to go to Wright from the Woody Hayes Center. So
and
that would go over there.
That Panera and that size State University, like that is the largest Panera bread in the world. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I used to write there even on days that I didn't have news conferences. It's like a relaxing place. And then, like, as I kept going, I felt like it became more and more expensive hospital food, and then I stopped going. Do you know how many bangers I wrote, like big-time stories, columns, even breaking news from that McDonald's on Olentangy River Road, like right around the corner?
Oh, I'm sure.
That McDonald's is probably responsible for at least 20 pounds of my weight to this day. But yes, all right, let's get into this game, Andy. So let me tell you why I'm confused. Okay. And like what I don't know what.
Well, let's tell the folks in podcast form what the spread is. Ohio State is favored by 20.5 against Penn State.
And I actually think that if Penn State were good, or like the Penn State that we thought they were going to be, the spread would probably still be somewhere in the 7 range. But yeah, did not see this coming before the season started. Now, one thing that you can't take away from James Franklin, you can make fun of his big game record. You can revel in the fact that he's no longer the coach if you don't like Penn State. But James Franklin always did an incredible job of mucking this game up.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State kept games close, and they had an uncanny ability to cover the spread even in the years that they lost. That said, James Franklin is no longer there. Drew Aller is no longer playing because he is injured. This is a massive spread against a team that, even without its quarterback, should still be the most talented team left on Ohio State's schedule. Ohio State is, in my opinion, the best team in college football, and this kind of resembles their final test of the year, if you even want to call it that. So, like, do we think that there is a universe out there? And by the way, Iowa is just dropping dimes on people right now. They played Iowa very closely. I don't know which way to go on this, Andy. Like, is this going to be a close, like Penn State's Athletic does something to muck this up and makes it close, or is Ohio State just going to win 47-0? Like, I have no idea.
Here's my question with this game, and this is I'm in the same boat as you, because I don't think Penn State has quit. I don't think that they're going to lay down in this game. I think Penn State's going to come out, play as hard as possible, and they have lots of guys who are going to play in the NFL, just like Ohio State does. That said, even if they don't quit, even if they play hard, it is possible Ohio State wins this game by 3 touchdowns.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just like trying to figure out. Because
normally I'd say a team with this level of talent can't lose by more than 3 touchdowns. It just won't happen. But in this case, Ohio State's maybe that good.
Yeah. I'm going to take the points. And it's not because I don't think that Ohio State is clear and above better. I think coming off of an open week, being able to regroup, having good players, like Penn State is going to do something to at least keep this game marginally close. Now, marginally close. Ohio State could win 31 to 13, and that'd be a blowout and still
It's a cover. Yeah.
Right. So like I don't know that I believe that Ohio State will ever feel like it's going to lose. Hell, Ohio State never felt like it was going to lose last year, and I think it was a one possession game. I don't think they're going to be in like scared mode. But my hope is, at least maybe it's just because we're going, but my hope is that it's not like laughably bad.
Yeah, I'd love to see a good game. I want to see Andy Kotelnicki get in his bag. Like, let's find everything crazy that you always wanted to run with Jason Bean back at Kansas. Like, hand those plays to Ethan Grunkmeyer and let's go. Like, the shackles are off.
Like, is there a world though where you really do open it up offensively, use the open week to scheme up Ohio State specifically? Grunkmeyer gets more reps with the ones than he's had all year probably, and like they come out and look semi-competent.
The problem there is not with Penn State. The problem there is Ohio State's defense is so freaking good. And Arvell Reese is, I think we don't talk enough about Arvell Reese, which is, it's understandable because obviously Jeremiah Smith's on that team. Carnell Tate looks awesome. Julian Sains is doing great at quarterback. Caleb Downs is the biggest known commodity on the defensive side of the ball in the whole country. But Arvell Reese is an absolute freak show. And the things they do with him, and to a lesser extent, the stuff they do with Sonny Styles, nobody else has those players. Nobody else has that. Matt Patricia has so many things he can do because Arvell Reese is a 6'4", 230-pound missile.
I'm going to ask this question humbly, and you can yell at me and you can call me stupid if you want, but I think that this is a question that I don't know. You do it sometimes without saying stupid. And that's okay. It's your lovable feature. I'm actually scared to ask, but I'm going to do it. Does Ohio State have an argument for having the 4 best players in the entire sport?
Oh, Ari, that's not a stupid question at all. It's not a stupid question. I don't think they do, but I think 4 of the top 10.
I'm just trying to think like if Arvell, like, and maybe Arvell Reese hasn't done it enough yet to earn that mantle, and like you look around the country, there are a lot of really good players.
I have him on my, like, the Heisman, top 10 that we send in every week. He's been on my Heisman top 10 for the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay. Who are you taking over Caleb Downs on another team?
Not many people. Maybe Arvell Reese. Maybe it. Ruben Bain, I guess, is one that you might consider.
And I guess if you're just doing it
different
from
positions, obviously,
roster, you might actually sacrifice Carnell Tate for a trade for Ruben Bain because you don't need Carnell. Yeah. But how many players are you taking over Carnell Tate? And honestly, Arvell Reese has been more productive than Ruben Bain this year. If you go look at the stats.
Right. And that's the scary part. I think you may be right. I think between Reese and Downs, Ohio State probably has the 2 best defensive players in the country this year.
I'm changing my pick, dude. I'm not doing this shit. Ohio State
this is how I was talking myself into the Ohio State cover here.
Yeah.
So.
No. I just the thing too is that I think that the total was 43.5, and this game could very well be 38-3.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what Vegas is trying to tell us here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Ohio State. Sorry. How much? What is it? Is it Penn State voodoo that makes these games close? Or is it?
No,
Franklin
it's Penn State's defense usually that makes these games close.
They've got a pretty good
pick 6 last year.
They've got a pretty good defense, don't they?
They do.
What happened?
They do, and that even if Penn State's offense can't do anything against Ohio State's defense, it will be instructive for us as we try to figure out how the rest of the season is going to play out. It will be instructive to see Ohio State's offense against a really talented defense.
It is so funny to me because even in the super era time, you wouldn't really have a lot of cases of you wouldn't even be able to ask that question. Do you have the 4 best players? The fact that you could ask that question during a time in which there aren't other teams that are similarly built as them athletically, it's becoming more and more clear that Ohio State's up and above the best team. Now, I don't know if they're going to go win the national title, what I saw out of A&M on Saturday night, I thought, hey, this is a team that can do something. Indiana obviously can do something. I don't think we've seen the last of Oregon.
We've seen Alabama beat some really good teams. It's not a shoe-in that Ohio State wins the national title, but I don't think we're talking out of school if we say they are the most talented team in the country. They are.
Yeah, and BetMGM has them to win the national title at 2-1, which is insane for October 27th in a year where it seems pretty messy. So, this game is always typically close. I just don't know if Penn State has enough in the tank to pick itself off the mat. Now, from a psychological standpoint, do you think that Penn State could get itself to a place of hey, if we win out, we still have a chance at the playoff? Can they at least lie to themselves about that?
No, I don't think they can do that. But I think this is more just personal pride. You're playing against the best in the country. You want to prove something. Penn State is going to give the best possible effort. I have no doubt about that. What I worry is they just aren't good enough on offense to do anything against this Ohio State defense. So unless they could, until they prove me wrong, I'm picking Ohio State's defense. This is purely a pick for Ohio State's defense right here. I will take Ohio State to cover, even though they got to win by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. It's going to be good to be in Columbus again. Looking forward to it. Yeah. My hope for a good game probably ain't going to happen.
Do we need to... Do you remember the last time Ohio State was favored by 20.5 against somebody at home?
I do.
Should we bring that up?
Sure, if you want to. I don't think it applies, but yeah.
I mean, we're going to see it from the press box and not a Texas Roadhouse in College Station. So I don't know that it's the same situation, but
yeah. We could talk about that a lot the weekend of November or the week of November 29th if you want.
Yeah, this is a very different situation. But for those who don't remember, Ohio State was favored by 20.5 against Michigan last year. This is not that. Give me Ohio State to cover.
And the best part about that, Andy, is that even if Ohio State lost to Penn State on Saturday, it wouldn't even feel 1/10 as bad as that did.
No.
Because it wouldn't matter, and it's not your rival.
Right. Because even this year, it still wouldn't matter for Ohio State if they go into that game 11-0, but it'll matter if they lose it.
Yes.
This one wouldn't. Yeah.
No, it'll matter. Yeah.
Let us move on to Austin, Texas. Vanderbilt at Texas. We played Guess the Line on Sunday, and Ari was right. I said Vandy should be favored by 2.5. Ari said, I understand how this actually works, Andy. Texas is probably going to be favored by something like 2.5, and that's what happened. And now it's Texas by 3 as of Monday morning. So you said, though, Ari, you think as the week goes on, we'll see this line get closer to pick them or actually flip. Do you still think that's probably going to happen?
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I do. A better team is getting points here. And now here's the thing. It's kind of like the Penn State discussion all over again, except Texas kind of controls its destiny probably to get to the CFP. Being only a 1-loss team in the SEC, and their one other loss is a 7-point loss was it 7? It was 7, right? On the road at Ohio State in the opener. There is still at least chance that Texas could figure something out and go on a run and make it in the playoff. My question to you is, do you think that Texas is in a position to do that, or do you think their personnel issues are just going to keep popping up? There's 2 ways to look at the Mississippi State game. One is, holy crap, you're down by 17 in the fourth quarter. Everybody loses in that situation. You fought back. You fought your tail off on the road, went out and got a win. Now, it's not a hard-fought win, but it's not an impressive win because of who you beat. But still doing that, it doesn't matter who you're playing. If you're down by 17, that should be a loss in the fourth quarter. And maybe that is the game that maybe galvanizes something, sparks something, or maybe that was just Texas eking out a close win against a team that was able to match up with them because of their personnel issues. And those matchup issues are going to continue to happen, as they continue to play teams. So, I mean, it almost feels like with how bad Texas has been playing, Andy, almost a miracle that they only have 2 losses. They could have lost to Kentucky last week. In fact, they went to overtime with them, and Kentucky was stuffed on a 4th and goal from the 1-yard line to help get them out of that. And of course, you saw what happened against Mississippi State. Punt returns, advantageous playmaking, sure.
Like, yeah, Vandy's not going to be dumb enough to kick to Ryan Niblett like Oklahoma and Mississippi State were, right?
I wouldn't think so, no.
Like, they're going to say punt out of bounds. Like, don't give that guy a chance to kill us. Let's make them drive the field. And again, we still don't know what's going to happen with Arch Manning. As we're recording this, Steve Sarkisian has not spoken on Monday. He will speak later Monday. By the time this episode drops, he will have talked. So we'll see what they say about Arch Manning's situation. You know, given what we've seen from Matt Caldwell, I don't know that the offense is going to be all that different. It looks like Matt Caldwell can run that offense pretty effectively as well. The brief flashes we've seen of him.
Yeah. We don't know who's going to play. Wouldn't it be funny? I brought this up on the video on Sunday, but like, what would happen in the college football world if Caldwell played and then threw for like 400 yards and they won?
Listen, Trinidad Chambliss did that at Ole Miss.
I mean, Caldwell
Austin Simmons got Wally pipped.
Dime. That was a dime. Yeah. Vanderbilt is a very good team. They don't seem to have gaping holes at position groups the way that Texas does on the offensive line. The only thing is, with all the power rankings and the data that you're going to get with Texas, which, you know, I'm looking at a few power ratings right now and they have them as like a pick 'em in this game. Is there a second gear that Texas has yet to hit that you believe they can still hit? Or are you resigned to the notion that Texas is just what they are? They have told us what they are and we should believe them.
So I'm interested in the Texas defense because we saw Mississippi State beat them quite a bit through the air. Vandy, to beat you, needs to be able to get yards on the ground. Now, there's a couple ways to do that. They can do it by handing off, or they can do it by Diego Pavia seeing an opening, scrambling, and gaining a bunch of yards. Can Diego Pavia scramble against these guys? Because that's the question. But also, you know, we've seen them against some more talented teams. Like Florida averaged 4.3 yards a carry against Texas. Florida's offensive line has not gotten a huge push against most of the teams they've played, but they got one against Texas. So I don't know that the Texas defense is as impenetrable as maybe we think.
Yeah. No, we talked about this on Sunday. I'm going to follow through with it now. I'm going to take points in this scenario. I think it's going to be a good value bet by Friday. And by the way, we didn't mention this at the top of the show, but I'm going to make an executive decision and say that you get one mulligan.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. That's the one I wanted last week.
Yeah.
I couldn't take it, and I lucked into a win. But as soon as I found out Mississippi State was wearing the Wayne Madkin uniforms, I'm like, oh, Mississippi State's going to win by 1 million, which it kind of looked like they would for a while.
Aren't you happy you didn't change it, buddy? Do you get the new spread at the end of the week if a line changes, or do you just get to switch sides?
So producer River has officially said the mulligan is not in effect. So it's sort of like, you know, this is like BetMGM gives you the profit boosts. And we do the parlay boosts and the profit boosts on Fridays and Saturdays for college football, and they have them for the NFL on Sundays. We're going to have our mulligan. That's going to be our thing. And I'm going to make an executive decision. The mulligan can be one of two things. You can either change your pick because something materially has changed about the game. Like a person's hurt that you didn't know was going to be hurt. Or if the line changes, you can take the new line because you feel like it's more advantageous to take the new line.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you book a Southwest flight. If you go back and check 2 weeks later and the fare's lower, you can just update your flight and get that in travel credit. That's what I want to do if I can.
No, I think that's fair. That's perfectly fair.
We're both going to use a mulligan, I bet, because if we use the mulligan, that just means that at the very least, one of the lines that you chose will improve. Like there are certain times, like for instance, the line for the Mississippi State-Texas game on Friday last week was 7. So like if I would have used my mulligan, even if it was for a half a point, I would have one less loss. So, we'll be using them. I wonder if we'll be switching sides at any point. I wonder like if Texas is catching 3 or there's a drastic shift, whether I would be willing to change my pick, because I think that like Texas still has like the ability. And I'm not going to predict it, but I think that there is ability that their hand can come out of the grave and do that thing like it does in a horror movie, you know, where it's like, oh, we're back. Like, I'm not saying
Ryan Wingo, if he catches every ball that gets thrown to him. Like, how different is Texas's season?
Yeah.
I do think there's something to that.
And Vanderbilt just won a game against Missouri where their offense like basically did nothing. So like if you go on the road and don't do anything offensively, you could lose at Texas. And I don't know if this is a logo mirage or if this is a respect for Steve Sarkisian and what he's built there, or a little bit of both. But like I'm not one like I think they're dead, but I don't know. Like I'm still waiting for the autopsy report. Wait, that's a bad thing because they only do autopsy on dead people. I'm waiting for the coroner to pronounce them dead.
So you got the priest giving him last rites. This analogy is
it's like
very
one of those
tortured at this
videos
point.
where I was dead for 14 minutes and here's what I saw. There was a light.
Yeah.
Everybody sees the same thing. I don't know if that's like because everybody just says they see the same thing, or is that what they're seeing? Like, doesn't that keep you up at night?
No. Because I'm going to die eventually, and that'll be that. And then
I know, but do you think you'll see a light?
I hope so.
Yeah.
And then my old basset hound comes running toward me.
Is that what happens? That'd be
just all
great.
floppy, like, hey, it's pretty cool up here. You're gonna like it. I hope that's what it is.
Yeah, how come nobody when
I don't know if the Texas season is gonna see a light if Diego Pavia is just dancing in the end zone though.
Yeah. Like, and if you're going to hell, then you see like darkness, and then that like gives you another chance to turn your shit around when you wake back up.
But isn't hell on fire? Wouldn't you see lights there too?
I don't know. It's like the tunnel, and then you get there. I don't know. I'm not.
I have a bad feeling we may be asking these questions of Steve Sarkisian on Saturday afternoon. Are you seeing any kind of lights, Coach Sark?
Yeah. That's morbid, but kind of true. Texas has to win this game.
Texas has to win this game to stay alive in the playoff hunt. Vanderbilt can lose it and still be in the mix. Ari is taking Vandy +3. I also will take the better team that is getting points. If you're going to give me points for the better team, I will take that. So give me Vanderbilt +3. Now, if you want to go to any of these games, if you would like to go to Vandy, Texas, and Austin, if you would like to go to Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Knoxville, if you'd like to go to Lincoln and watch USC play Nebraska, go to Gametime right now because they got tickets to all of it. Download the Gametime app, redeem the code STAPLES to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, of course. You can look and see exactly where you'd be sitting. I've got the screen up where you can look and see where you'd be sitting in Neyland Stadium, where you'd be sitting in Memorial Stadium if you decide to go to Nebraska and USC. It is going to be so much fun this weekend. Why not go to a game in person? Gametime has tickets to all the games. Check on the day of. Sometimes the prices drop dramatically. The price you see on the Gametime app is the price you pay. No hidden fees. None of that BS. Also, use the code STAPLES for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Gametime. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right, Ari. Let's go to a game that is happening. Well, you won't be home, but it's happening right down the road from your house. Miami at SMU. Miami is a 10.5-point favorite on the road. SMU coming off a crushing, heartbreaking, gut-wrenching loss at Wake Forest, where Wake Forest walked them off with a last-second field goal. Miami coming off a slow start against Stanford that turned into just them clobbering them in the second half.
Yeah, so obviously an important game in the ACC. Miami does not control its own destiny in the ACC race, but if more results come in like SMU's loss on Saturday, then they will walk right into Charlotte. Miami got off to a really, really slow start against Stanford over the weekend and then like won 42-7. It kind of like woke up there in the second half. By the way, we have to take a moment and discuss these hideous jerseys. They were hideous, I think.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate them supporting the troops and all that good stuff, but no, don't make them more camouflage. Also, they got made fun of a lot because it was like Carson Beck can't see his receivers.
Or just do it in a tasteful way. Like do like your numbers in camo and like the U and still have your uniforms. I don't know if people liked these. I thought they were terrible.
I don't think anybody liked them.
I think part of the reason why they got off to such a slow start is because the ref had a hard time spotting the ball.
He kept running into people, not seeing them because they were blending into the field.
Just awful situation they had there. Miami, to me, was on the list of teams that I still think can win the national title. Now, the one thing that stands out to me about Miami that I didn't think I'd have to say is when they lost to Louisville, they got pushed around a little bit more than I would have liked to see. The reason why I felt like Miami was different this year is because I thought their front seven and their offensive line would keep them in every game. And that'll probably still be true. But I think it should win you games like that Louisville game, and it didn't. Carson Beck has not been playing well. Carson Beck started the season off with 5 consecutive games. It was like, wow, this guy's really feeling himself. It's good. And then he threw 4 interceptions against Louisville and, wasn't his sharpest against Stanford. So I think that Miami needs to get back to playing good Miami football. I think they can still do it. I have faith in Mario Cristobal and the team that he's assembled to get there. But now is SMU going to be pissed off because of what happened and respond to that? Or is SMU going to flatline after what could have been the death blow to their season?
Well, and SMU's defense didn't start off the season particularly well, but had really kind of rounded into form. And obviously you can't really put the loss at Wake Forest on the defense when they only gave up 15 points. So this, I think, is Scott Simon's one of the better defensive coordinators in college football. If you look at SMU's success the previous 2 seasons, a lot of it was due to that defense and how well they played. So I do think there's a chance that they make life hard for Carson Beck. And this is one, if Carson Beck throws some picks, SMU can beat Miami. So it really comes down to, how accurate is Carson Beck going to be? How careful with the ball is he going to be? I do think Miami, the one thing about the Louisville game that troubled me a little bit was because I just assumed Miami was going to, if they got into trouble, just hand off, just dominate the run game, bulldoze up front. And I thought most of the teams in the ACC, they're going to be able to do that against. There's a few you might not. Georgia Tech, you might not be able to. But I thought for the most part, they'd be able to do that within the ACC, if not even against some of the more elite teams from the other conferences. The fact that they couldn't do that against Louisville was a little bit troubling to me. And SMU's one that I'm not sure you can just bulldoze unless you're good enough to bulldoze everybody. And I'm not sure they're good enough to bulldoze everybody. So that's the part I'm worried about is if they get in a little trouble and are struggling the pass game, can they rely on the run game? That said, I also would just try to get the ball to Malachi Tony in any way possible.
Yeah, baby Jesus, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what they did against Stanford. Mark Fletcher Jr. had 3 touchdowns on the ground in the second half.
Yeah.
They ran.
Against Stanford, you can do that. I'm not sure it's that easy to do that against SMU.
Yeah, I still don't think that Miami can't throw, though. That's the thing. I think that their defense.
They can.
I think with Miami's defense combined with what we saw from SMU's offense, their front seven on defense, their offensive line, these are all things that I like. I can't quit them yet. I'm going to take Miami laying the 10.5 in this game in Dallas.
I'm going to take SMU.
I would have popped over there for this one. This is a big game.
I'm going to take SMU because I think they can keep this close. I don't think they're going to win this game, but I think they can keep it close. So if you're going to give me 10.5, I will take the 10.5, and I will watch this line because maybe I use my mulligan if this thing jumps up to 12.5 or 13.5.
Well, it's just I struggle. I think maybe with the reason why I'm having such a hard time with picks this year is that does the Louisville game tell you who Miami is, or was the Louisville game a weird Friday night game where Miami didn't play well? I don't know at times what to believe. Do you believe the body of work that's overarching about this team? For the most part, the Miami team we saw in Tallahassee wins this game by 17 plus probably. But is that because Florida State stinks or because Miami is
right? And the thing is, we watched Miami Tallahassee, and Florida State got back into that game. Miami had control the entire time. I know it was a 6-point game at the end. It was not ever close.
Right.
I was never worried about Miami losing. So
I wonder if Miami's going to get back into a place. I think this is what happens in college football, and it doesn't happen to everybody, but it certainly happens when you lose a game and you are receiving a ton of big time hype at the first half of the year, and then you lose a game. Then it it like overcorrects to the other side of like they were a fraud the whole time. And like, I'm not there with Miami.
I don't think they're a fraud. I just think SMU is pretty good. And I think
They're
you're going to give them a game. So I will take SMU to cover the 10.5. You've got Miami to cover the 10.5. All right, before we get to our next game, let's talk about Academy Sports and Outdoors. At Academy Sports and Outdoors, we proudly honor our brave military and first responders, not by creating camo jerseys, but for everything they do to protect the nation and serve local communities. Appreciate your unmatched dedication and countless sacrifices. And from October 19th through November 11th, so right now, we're giving you our salute with a 10% off your sports and outdoors purchases at your local Academy store and online at academy.com/discount. So you can either go in store, show your ID, or academy.com/discount. Exclusions apply. But if you want to buy Miami camo jerseys, I'm sure academy.com probably has them. But you're probably just going to buy the orange one, right?
Yeah, probably.
The orange one's much cooler. So, yeah, Academy's got it all. Grills, jerseys, shoes, bats, mouthpieces, all of it. So whatever you need for your tailgate, whatever you need for sports, whatever you need to wear to your tailgate, they got it at Academy. Academy.com/discount for military and first responders, 10% off. Ari, let us travel around the country. We're going back into the Big Ten. Indiana at Maryland. The Hoosiers are a 21.5-point favorite. The Terps, so close so many times. I feel terrible for Mike Locksley because this happened against Washington. It happened against Nebraska. It happened against UCLA. They just could not close the deal. And now they have to play the chipper shredder that is the Indiana Hoosiers.
Andy, fun trivia question. I looked this up last night as I was doing my unfiltered thoughts, which are now live on On3, shameless plug. What do you think the combined record of Indiana's remaining Big Ten opponents are in conference play?
Oh, God. Have they won a game? Can you give me a hint? Have they won a game?
They've won a game.
1 and something.
1-17.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Wow. Oh,
so get ready for regular season undefeated Indiana, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you're ready for it, but they're here.
Do you think everybody, the Indiana traveling party has already made its St. Elmo reservations for the Big Ten championship game week?
Yeah, they just popping up the street, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know if there's a dead cat Penn State bounce in there somewhere. Like, Penn State still has good players, and anytime you have good players, like, there's a chance for something crazy or wonky to happen. I don't know.
Oh, I fell into this trap last week, Ari, when I took UCLA to cover against Indiana. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah,
I'm done. Like, Indiana buy $1 billion for the rest of the year till they play Ohio State in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
Indiana to cover every single time.
They thump people. Now Maryland's like not bad. That's the thing. Like, Maryland gets lumped in with like some of their old teams. You know, I don't know how you could not pick Indiana to cover because Indiana like plays with hate in their heart. Like, Kurt Signetti is like Darth Vader. They want to embarrass you. Like, and they did it all last year too. Now, like, the thing is that they won't be able to do that or play like that when they play in the playoff. But when they play a team they're better than, like, they have no mercy. Like, it turns into a blowout. And like, did you see the UCLA game? Did you watch the first?
Unfortunately, yes, I watched it. Yes,
first play of the game was a pick six, and that was it. They won by 50, and
they could have won. And they could have won by 70.
And like, it's on the road, it's far away. At least it's a traditional Big Ten opponent, at least in the recent past. They don't have to go to the West Coast. But man, give me a reason. Give me a reason why Indiana doesn't win this game by 22.
Yeah, listen. There's no line you can make that is high enough for the rest of the regular season for me not to pick Indiana to cover.
If UCLA was plus 49, would you have like bet anything in your like entire like what that would have forced you to bet?
Yeah. I mean, I took UCLA plus 24.5.
I know, but if it was double, you would have been like, what is this line?
Yes.
And you would have
lost.
lost.
Anymore. If they'd have made this week's line 47 points, I would have picked Indiana to cover.
Yeah. Maryland's had a rough go of it. And the thing that's really difficult about Maryland is that this seems to be kind of a trend under Mike Locksley. Like, if you go back and you look at most of the years, they start 4-5-0. You're feeling really good about it. And then, like, they were up by, what were they up by at Washington in the fourth quarter? They were up by 16.
Was it 20-3?
No, they were up by 17 points. It was 20-3 in the fourth quarter. And they lost to Washington in regulation. So, like, and ever since then, it just kind of fallen apart. But Maryland has an exciting quarterback. You know, I think that you have to at least give them a shout out for Malik Washington and the freshman's play. He's been really good. The games on the road, like, is there anything that Maryland can do to keep this game at least respectable? Like, we're not even saying win, but like not get blown off their own field, or is just Indiana going to blow everybody out for the rest of the year?
Well, because I'm now picking Indiana to blow everybody out for the rest of the year, they're going to have a game where they don't. But
I feel like Indiana feels like it has to do that to people. I feel like they are still in their like legitimizing themselves mode.
Yeah, I mean they don't, but I think it's part of their vibe. I just think that's part of their team culture. Like, just step on people's throats.
I don't think that people realize or appreciate how hard it is to blow everybody out the way that they do. Like, they don't.
I guarantee they don't.
They played one close game this year, or two, and one was on the road at Oregon, but against overmatched opponents. They beat Illinois 63-10. Illinois obviously has been disappointing, but they're not an awful team.
They're not bad. Yeah.
I'm going to lay the points here, Andy. They're in they're in crush.
No line high enough from this point forward. Not till they get to Indy. Ari, let me tell you about Huel. The Huel Black Edition, the best complete meal that you can scoop into this lovely shaker bottle, shake it up, and you've got a meal. Breakfast, lunch, could even be dinner if you need it. Helps you on the go. If you're busy, don't have time to cook, need to get all your nutrients, your 40 grams of protein, your 27 vitamins and minerals, Huel is the way to go. It's the world's #1 complete nutrition. Use the promo code STAPLES15 to get 15% off plus a free gift, your first purchase of $75 or more. Plus, you can also get the Huel Daily Greens. One can gives you 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods, super greens, adaptogens, lion's mane, mushroom, fiber, electrolytes, and antioxidants. Go to Huel.com. That's Huel.com. Use the code STAPLES15. Get 15% off plus a free gift, your first purchase of $75 or more. Ari, we go from complete meal, complete nutrition, to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. So drink a Huel Black Edition, and then you're going to drink what you're going to drink in Jacksonville. Georgia playing Florida in Jacksonville. Georgia's a 7.5-point favorite. This is such a weird situation because this is Florida's first game since Billy Napier's firing. New play caller for the Gators. That would be Ryan O'Hara, the quarterback's coach. Florida's roster can beat anybody in the SEC, Ari. Anybody. Can they coach Florida's roster? The new group, Billy Gonzalez is the interim coach. Ryan O'Hara calling the offensive plays. Same group calling defense. Can these people coach this roster better than Billy Napier did? Because that's really the question. Because if they can, Florida not only has a chance to cover here, Florida would have a chance to win.
I always, it's like if Florida can coach this roster better than Billy Napier can, if they fired him a month ago rather than 2 weeks ago, would they be in the playoff conversation right now? Like, I love like those don't you just wish there was like AI was advanced enough to like create scenarios of like what would happen if Tom Brady got drafted by the Browns? Play this out for me. Like, if you could like
right.
like all these, well, what happened if Justin Fields played on one good team during his time in the NFL? Like, what would have happened if Billy Napier didn't start the season with Florida and they had all the same players and the people who were coaching him this week? Would they have a better season or would they be way worse off? Like, I don't know.
And that's the question. We don't know. We haven't seen any of that. So you could have a situation like UCLA where things got better because of the changes they made, or it could be even worse. Like that's we have no idea what it's going to look like?
No. I've been picking Florida because of the sum of their parts all year, and I've been picking against Georgia all year because I don't think they're as good as people think they are, and I've been wrong on both turns a lot of the time. Like, I'm sorry, Georgia fans. I'm going to correct that this week. I think I'm going to lay the points here. I think Georgia is not – I don't think they're going to win the national title this year, but, like, I don't know if there's some, like, coaching voodoo magic that, like, is going to get sprinkled on Florida and make them really good all of a sudden. Like, I
think Georgia's offense is very good.
They've been really good.
This is not a great Georgia defense so far.
Yeah. So I don't know. 7.5 in a rivalry game on a neutral site is always, 2 possessions is probably enticing. I found whenever Florida has been getting 7 or 7.5 points all year to be a really hard thing.
They disappoint you when Florida. As someone who picked against Florida in all those games, except I guess Texas was the only one that I didn't come out on the winning side of, and Florida won that game. So here's what I think happens. It's one of two directions. Either Georgia's going to win this game by 3 touchdowns or Florida's going to win outright.
Yeah.
Because if these guys aren't any better, and in fact are worse, then Georgia's just going to boat race them.
Yeah.
But what if they're better? What if they're slightly better? What if Ryan O'Hara, who is the quarterback's coach, who is in constant communication with DJ Lagway, maybe has a better feel for what Lagway's comfortable running? Because that's an interesting thing about Billy Napier is up until, kind of right before he got fired, he wasn't even really polling the assistants about what their players wanted to run. Like most good offensive coordinators ask the quarterback, what do you like this week? What works for you against this? And that wasn't something they started doing until kind of late in the process. You got Dallas Wilson, a little bit healthier this week. Ari, I'm going to take Florida to cover. I know what I just said. Either Georgia wins by 3 touchdowns or Florida wins outright. I'm going to give myself some wiggle room there.
Okay.
In case something disastrous happens. But I think Florida's going to keep this close.
So like, you're going to call for the bizarro weekend, right? Like Arch Manning's not going to play, and the backup quarterback's going to throw for 731 yards, and Florida's going to win this game outright. And like,
well, no, I picked Vandy in the Vandy Texas.
No, I know, but so like, it could be a bizarro weekend, like Penn State without
yes,
Drew Aller, like Andy Kotelnicki.
Well, it's Halloween weekend, and the zombies are out. You got zombie Penn State playing Ohio State, and zombie Florida playing Georgia.
Yeah.
Zombie LSU will be playing Alabama next week, but they're off this week.
That is such a funny column idea. One of us should do that. Like zombie football weekend. Like the teams that we thought were dead rise from the grave. And
we saw zombie UCLA.
Yeah.
Zombie UCLA created zombie Penn State, which is sort of how zombies work, right?
Like,
they bit Penn State on the neck and created zombie Penn State.
Yeah.
Zombie Florida. See, zombie Florida, like zombie DJ Lagway and zombie Dallas Wilson and zombie Jaden Baugh, probably the scariest group of zombies out there.
Yeah.
All right.
Zombie weekend.
The Gators. Oh, I'm sorry. Ari's already writing the column.
Did you hear me typing? I'm sorry. I typed. Yes. I typed the premise into a notepad so I don't forget. Like, I think one of us should do it. If you want to do it, it's
all yours. I have to rank the quality of the job openings, which I'm sure will enrage fans of my alma mater.
It's pretty easy. Pretty easy. And the only people who will disagree with your premise are the people who have something that have skin in the game. That's like not even a debate.
Oh, producer River, speaking of zombies, has a question.
Okay, real quick though. Do people in Florida think that Florida's a better job than LSU?
Some people.
Okay.
Not everybody.
All right. What's River's question? Have
you heard Zombie by the Cranberries yet?
I listened to it last year. I honestly don't know if I heard it like right now.
That is amazing to me that song, which played everywhere for like 2 years straight, did not penetrate your bubble of obliviousness as a child.
Yep. I don't know. Well, it's like, if the song played, I'm sure, yeah, I heard that in the mall 9,000 times. The thing that I've always struggled with, Andy, in my entire life is like name recognition. Like, I don't know actors' names and actresses' names. I know who Sydney Sweeney is. But if you ask me, like, what do you think of this actor that's in this Netflix series that I've seen in 19 different movies in like the last 20 years? Like, I
just don't know who that is.
Name. Yeah. And maybe it's because I know who the left tackle of, Auburn is, and like I don't have enough room for all of it. Like, you are a beautiful mind because you have room for all of it.
Xavier Chaplin.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? Like, you just the fact that I know who like Isaiah World is means that I can't know who like Sydney Sweeney's like co-star is. Like, that's okay.
Zendaya.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know who Zendaya is. It's funny. There's like this weird correlation between really attractive actresses and me knowing who they are, and like. You know that like dude who's like the head of the cartel in like 19 different like movies about the Mexican cartel?
Yes.
Like, people know who that guy's name is. Like, I know who that guy is. No idea what that human's name is. If you look like Sydney Sweeney, maybe I would. I don't know. But how do we get off on this tangent? Oh, zombie. Yeah, zombie weekend.
Cut that sound. just we need how did we get off on this tangent? All right. Give me zombie Florida. Ari's going to take Georgia to cover. I'll take zombie Florida to cover. Potential zombie situation here, even though nobody's been fired. But did South Carolina, did their season expire when they lost to Alabama, when they were winning in the fourth quarter? Basically gave the game away. South Carolina now going to Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 13.5-point favorite. Ole Miss is in a great situation. Ole Miss has 4 games left. They have the probably easiest 4-game remaining schedule of anybody that's a playoff contender other than Indiana. So what do we think happens here? What version of the Gamecocks do the Rebels get? The one that laid down against Oklahoma 2 weeks ago? Or the one that gave Alabama complete hell for 4 quarters?
As we're recording the show, one of our colleagues is texting me, taking exception to a point that I made. And it kind of mirrors what we're going to be talking about here. Okay. And as you know, my opinion is that at times the SEC insists upon itself a little bit. That like the game, and I think that my actual premise of the SEC in general is that Alabama and Georgia aren't as good as Ohio State and Indiana, and as a result, when teams like Missouri and South Carolina and Vanderbilt and like the middle tier teams that are very good but not elite of elite,
play South Carolina does not belong in that group.
South Carolina played Alabama close, so there's this illusion that South Carolina is a tough out because they played with Alabama. And it's like, it's not, South Carolina is not any good this year. Now, I don't know, like Ole Miss is going to walk into the playoff. There's no way they're going to be, a 2-2 against this. Like, if that happens, then my God. But like, I don't think that's going to happen. But like, I still think there's some question about how good Ole Miss is. It's like, what is Ole Miss?
Help Lane move if he went 2-2 these next 4 games.
I know.
Like, you want to go to Gainesville or Baton Rouge? You're welcome to go.
Like, when you think about it, River, can you put their schedule back up for a second just so I can visualize it? Like, what is their most important like season-defining win? It's Oklahoma, right? Over this past week.
Or Tulane. What if Tulane wins the American and goes to the playoff?
And it's like, when you look at this, it's like, well, Ole Miss just made it through the big bad SEC, and it's like, show me the teams on here that are like any good.
Right. All SEC schedules are not created equal, and Ole Miss kind of maybe needs to go 11-1 just to be sure. I think they're making the playoff at 10-2 anyway. But
they're going to, because it insists upon itself. But like, I still have questions about whether or not Ole Miss is like actually really, really good, or if they've like walked through a schedule that's more advantageous than the logos on the helmet indicate. And like that's why I faded them last week and I was wrong. So maybe I am wrong about Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin this might just be his year. It seems like things
I think they had their stinker against Washington State and they won.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they're going to have another stinker. Like they had 2 stinkers last year. They had the Kentucky game and they had the Florida game. And maybe the Florida game's different. Let's see what happens in Florida, Georgia, and then we'll revisit, because Florida Ole Miss is going to have all manner of psychic freight on it when those 2 teams play. But I'm not worried about Ole Miss against South Carolina this week, because I think South Carolina, that was the last dying gasp, was them fighting against Alabama, giving Alabama hell. I'm going to agree with you on the SEC insisting upon itself situation. I don't think South Carolina, because they played Alabama tough, is good. I think Alabama does not play well unless they're playing a good team. I think Kalen DeBoer needs to work on Alabama showing up against teams that they're supposed to beat. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So I think South Carolina is not going to run into that with Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss is going to underestimate South Carolina. I think they know that South Carolina has some freaks, but South Carolina also has some major weaknesses that Ole Miss can exploit.
For sure. I'm taking the points after my diatribe because
it is a lot of points.
It's a lot of points. I don't know that, I think South Carolina is not very good. And I don't know if there's a discernible difference between a team like USC and a team like Tennessee, for instance. Although Tennessee would probably be viewed by the general public as better just because they're in the SEC. I still feel like I'm not.
You're talking about the USC in California, not South Carolina.
Yeah. Sorry.
Just saying. Yeah, South Carolina fans call them USC also, but
South Carolina is not a very good team, obviously. I'm going to take the points because they are getting 13.5 as if they're playing a national title contender, and I'm not sure Ole Miss is that yet. I might be wrong, but I'm going to take the points and see what happens.
I'm going to go the opposite of what I did last year, because last year South Carolina was coming off the LSU loss, which South Carolina fans will tell you they got stiffed in that game by the refs, and I was like, oh well, there's no way they don't bounce back here against Ole Miss, and Ole Miss just demolished them. And there may be a styles make fights situation going on here too. So I'll take Ole Miss to cover this one.
Yeah, with you.
Wait, I thought you were taking South Carolina.
No, I'm taking South Carolina.
Okay.
But okay. Sorry, I don't want to confuse anyone. Yep.
I get very easily confused. Let us head to Knoxville, Tennessee. Dark mode engaged. It's the Tennessee black uniform game. And I remember a million years ago when I covered Tennessee as a beat writer, people would call into John Wilkerson and Jimmy Hyam's show complaining about even the slightest little tweak to the uniforms. But they have embraced dark mode. Producer River even has the black background for the Power T for this game. He's
ready to go.
Oh yeah. He knows it's a special occasion. I covered one of these dark mode games 3 years ago. They had Kentucky coming in about this time in the season. It is an electric atmosphere at Neyland on these nights. Oklahoma will get the full breadth of the experience here, and that's going to be tough because Tennessee's playing really well. Oklahoma's back is against the wall. So is Tennessee's. This is an elimination game. This is a playoff elimination game. Losers out. Winner keeps going. Who you got, Ari?
I don't know. I don't know. The top of the Big Ten gets to play the bottom of the Big Ten a lot because there's more teams in the Big Ten, and the bottom of the Big Ten exists. The Purdue's don't exist in the SEC, maybe outside of Mississippi State. The Marylands don't exist. The Minnesotas don't exist. I feel like the entire SEC is the middle. And
yes.
All these games have come into coin flip scenarios. And now I feel like I'm left with vibes. Oklahoma's vibes are down. Tennessee's vibes are high. Tennessee's going to have an electric environment. Tennessee's receivers are all eating. Everybody's in love with Joey Aguilar, and it's all kind of happening. And Oklahoma is just down right now. And I don't know if I think that from top to bottom, Tennessee is immeasurably better than Oklahoma, but it's very hard to cap these games because what John Mateer are we going to get? Are they going to play really good defense? How good is Oklahoma's defense? Actually, they played a really good offense for the first time this year, and they gave up a bunch of touchdowns in the first half. Like, I don't know. I'm going to lay the points here with Tennessee because it's on the road, and I'm just going to go with vibes here. But, like, this is just another, like, muck it up in the middle of the SEC type game, and, like, whoever wins is going to be great, and whoever loses is going to, be pretty good still. And, like, I don't know. Like, help me. Like, I'm just putting it on record that I'm going to pick Tennessee first because I don't want you to think I'm cheating. But, like, I really don't feel good about either side of this game.
So Tennessee's a 3.5-point favorite in this game. It's really hard. I mean, what you're looking at, especially with an environment like this, a home field advantage like this is the book saying this is essentially a pick 'em at a neutral site. So what you're saying about which Oklahoma you get is a legitimate question because we saw them play as poorly as they played this season against Texas. And then they turn around and just go on the road and crush South Carolina. Like the same place that Alabama struggled this past weekend, Oklahoma annihilated the home team the weekend before. And so I have no idea what we're going to get. I think it's going to be really that day how everybody feels. You talk about it being vibes. It's kind of the vibes when you wake up that morning, what team you're going to get for either one of these. Tennessee, we've seen them give up quite a few points now. Their only two losses are to Alabama and Georgia, teams that we all agree are good and probably going to the playoff. I think Tennessee's better. I think Oklahoma's going to struggle to stop Tennessee's offense. But I also think there's a chance if Oklahoma gets pressure on Joey Aguilar, maybe they can force some turnovers that change this.
Here's the reason why I'm picking Tennessee. It's because I thought Oklahoma would have a better opportunity or a more likely opportunity to put up a bunch of points against an Ole Miss defense that has been leaky at times this year, and they did not do that. So now they're going to go on the road, and like I think that Tennessee is going to score. I don't know if Oklahoma's offense is going to be able to keep up. Like, what is it about Oklahoma's offense that you're like, they can really, like, John Mateer's good. There's no question. I think Deion Burks is good. Isaiah Satania is awesome. Like, they've got pieces. But, like, what are you going to be able to rely on and know that's there on the road?
I'm with you. I think that's the biggest question. And Oklahoma's not had a consistent run game all year. It seems like when they really need yards on the ground, it's Mateer that they rely on. So that is the biggest issue I have. Like, I know how Tennessee scores. I know how Tennessee, the path to winning for Tennessee just feels clearer and easier to define than the path to winning for Oklahoma. The path to winning for Oklahoma is going to require some stuff that really hasn't happened all year, and it's their defense forcing Aguilar into a disaster game where he has a bunch of negative plays or a bunch of turnovers. Like, that's the path to win. Tennessee's path to win is much more clear.
Yeah. I think somebody's breaking into your house.
Sorry about that. Smokey, the Tennessee mascot, actually broke into my house.
Yeah.
And was barking to get me to stop thinking about how Tennessee can lose and just start thinking about how Tennessee's played all season. And if they play that way, they probably win this game.
Yeah. So you're joining me?
Oh, I'm joining you. Yes. I'm going to take Tennessee to cover here. This one I might use my mulligan on later. I want to see where this line goes.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of think it's probably going to go the other direction. I think it may go away from Oklahoma. I think we may see Tennessee 5.5 come kickoff. So I think if what we have decided is the representative game for these two teams, if each one plays their representative game, Tennessee's winning this game.
Yeah. I'm with you.
So
we'll see.
All right. Let us move to Lincoln, Nebraska. USC at Nebraska. USC is a 6.5-point favorite against the Cornhuskers. This actually is a playoff elimination game. Both of these teams sitting with 2 losses. Winner is still in. Loser is out. Now, I don't know that either of these teams are serious playoff contenders. Both of them have very hard games down the stretch. USC still has to play against Iowa and against Oregon. Nebraska still has to play Iowa. But that said, hope is hope. And for USC, if they win this game and then they're in contention to make the playoff in November, even if they wind up 9-3 or 8-4, it's still an improvement over last season. That's still what you wanted is for them to get better.
I wish we could do like an ocean side effect because the tide is pulling me in. The USC tide is pulling me in. It's just like, I don't know what it is about that place, but I can't quit them. Even when I get angry and I want to, I can't. I don't think they're dead at all in the playoff race.
No, they're not dead.
I don't think they're not technically dead. There's a lot of teams that aren't technically dead. I actually think they have a pretty good shot to do it. I'm very curious.
Well, I don't think they have a good shot, but it is plausible. Like USC making the playoff at 10-2 is entirely plausible.
They will make the playoff at 10-2. That's not even a debate. It's about whether or not you think
it's a debate about whether they're going to go 10-2, and I don't think they will.
But like the only bona fide game that you feel like is like you go into that game like they're going to lose if you're a USC doubter would be the Oregon game.
That's correct.
They're playing Iowa.
And also don't doubt them as much in that game as I would have at the beginning of the season. Like, I think USC can win every game left on its schedule.
Yeah. And I know that they lost their last time out on the road at Notre Dame. I thought they existed pretty well in that game, and they had some turnovers that really hurt them. I think in another world, they could play that game again and win.
Nope.
You don't?
No, not when you're giving up that many yards of carry. You're going to lose every time you do that.
Yeah.
You're going to 6.95 yards per carry. You will lose every game where you give up 7 yards of carry.
Yeah. I mean, but on the other side too, though, it's just like they only scored 24 and they could have scored like 38. No, Notre Dame also had bad turnovers too, so maybe they just cancel each other out. Like,
yeah,
CJ Clark.
No, but the thing is, this USC team is not going to allow 7 yards of carry against Nebraska. Nebraska has not shown the capability to do that to anybody.
Yeah. And I wonder too, like if Jaden Mayava has gotten enough due as one of the most productive quarterbacks in the country. Your favorite stat, Andy, number one, yards per completion, the only quarterback in the country.
Not yards per completion. I once had an editor ask me why we use yards per attempt and not yards per completion. And I said, because if you go 1 of 37 for 99 yards, then your average yards per completion is 99 yards, but you had a terrible game. So
yeah. Thanks for the correction. More than 10 yards per attempt is the only quarterback in the country who's doing that.
Only one.
Which is, I think, something special. Obviously, the receivers are very good. I think they've got a very potent offense, and I just doubt Nebraska's ability to keep up in this game.
Yeah, and so Nebraska's got to protect Dylan Raiola better, but Nebraska's also got to be able to run the ball a little bit when it wants to, and that has just been one of the major problems all season. I mean, if you look at their rushing totals, they ran for 4 yards of carry against Northwestern, which is pretty good. In that disaster against Minnesota, is 1.2 yards per carry. Now, these aren't sack adjusted, but still, 1.4 yards of carry against Michigan, only 2.2 yards of carry against Michigan State in a win. Like, they don't dominate up front. They just don't.
They don't.
And USC is capable of running at will on teams. You saw them do it to Michigan. They didn't do it at Illinois. And that's really kind of the difference. Like, when USC is gaining yards on the ground at will, they win. Now, they didn't do it against Notre Dame, but Notre Dame has a lot better defense than most of the defenses they're going to play. So I think against Nebraska, USC is going to be able to run the ball. Give me USC to cover in this game, because I think this is a bad matchup for Nebraska. I think the things USC does well are meant to take advantage of the things Nebraska does poorly.
I'm with you. I'm pulled back in. This is probably good news.
So you're pulled all the way. I need convincing. Like, I need USC to win this game and then go beat Iowa, and then I'll probably feel a lot better about them going to Oregon.
Pointed out, Andy, too. I wanted to make this point. I think that there's a perception that Nebraska plays Big Ten West football. And they're actually not as tough as an Iowa would be. So
they're very different than Iowa, even Minnesota. I mean, you saw what Minnesota did them. Minnesota still tries to play that old Big Ten West style. Nebraska doesn't play that style. It's interesting because They don't want to play that style. It's Matt Rule correctly understanding that if you want to be competitive in the Big Ten at large, you can't just be a ground and pound, try to win every game 17-15 kind of team. But you still have to be good up front. Like Ohio State is still dominant up front. Indiana is still dominant up front. But they also can beat you in a shootout. And that's the difference. Nebraska is kind of built for shootouts, but they don't have that offensive line that you can just, when you need them to move the ball for you, they can. They just don't do that. So that's what they want. That's ultimately what Matt Rule would like to create, but they don't have that right now. So that's why I doubt very seriously they can win this game. Maybe they prove me wrong, but we'll see.
Yep.
All right. Next up, one more. We go to Salt Lake City, Rice-Eccles Stadium, home of the mighty Utah student section. Cincinnati, undefeated in Big 12 play. Brendan Sorsby, one of the most exciting quarterbacks in the country. Guest on Tuesday's show, Brendan Sorsby. At Utah, where Bird Ficklin took over at quarterback last week in a destruction of Colorado. Utah's a 7-point favorite. What do we think happens?
Just a quick aside before we get into this game. Colorado was losing 43-0 in the second quarter, and I think we have to have a conversation at some point about Deion Sanders this week. Like, I don't know why no one is talking about that, but like, is this the beginning of the end there? Like, I'm not overreacting. It was like one of the worst beatings I've ever seen in my entire life. And you have to question, and it's not, I appreciate the hardship that Deion Sanders has gone through. I can't imagine what he's been through, and I give him a lot of credit for his commitment to the team and the program through what would have been a pretty debilitating situation. My question is, what is Colorado going to do to get off the mat in this situation? Because it's like the sexiness is over with. Them losing by 50 doesn't really move the needle nationally anymore. We're not talking about it. Like, what do you do to get them off the mat? I think we should talk about later. Utah,
we will.
Are they back?
Did they ever leave, or did they just lose to Texas Tech?
I don't know. They got smacked in that game.
They did get smacked in that game, but Texas Tech's really good. And it might just be that they lost to a good team. Devin Dampier was available to play. He was probable for the game. They ended up holding him out, letting Burt Ficklin start. So I would think Devin Dampier is going to be available for this game. This is going to be a very big test for Cincinnati, because Cincinnati, we saw them lose to Nebraska week 1 in a tight game. Sorsby throws an interception right at the end. Sorsby's been lights out since then. He's been unstoppable. And Cincinnati has legitimate Big 12 title aspirations. You got to win this game to keep pace, though, because you got an undefeated BYU. Now, Cincinnati and BYU are going to play. Texas Tech and BYU are going to play.
Mm-hmm.
But Utah can't lose again. Utah cannot lose another Big 12 game. So this is critical for them. I am done betting against Cincinnati. I've picked against them, I think, a few times, and I think I've been wrong every time. So I am going to take Cincinnati, especially because you're giving me a touchdown.
Yeah. Halloween weekend in that environment could get pretty rowdy, though, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Salt Lake City is a great town. Rice-Eccles is a great place to see a game. The student section at Utah is incredible. I can't wait to see this. I think it's going to be so much fun. This is the quarterback matchup. Dampier's not the best thrower. I think Sorsby's the more complete quarterback, but you could have these two dudes running all over the opposing defenses. Sorsby took a dude's ankles from Baylor last week. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I put Sorsby in my top 10 on our Heisman ballot for on 3. Like, I think he's playing at a really high level. He is certainly an entertaining guy, and I can't wait to see if he's entertaining in person, because we're going to have him on the show on Tuesday where we can break down this game further even, Andy, but I'm going to take the points here as well. 7 seems like a lot. And Cincinnati's just playing really good football right now. I might use my mulligan on this. We'll see how it goes. But for now, Cincinnati is the pick.
Yeah, I am curious how this line moves. I don't think it's going to move toward Utah, or I mean, it might move back toward 0. But I don't think Utah's gonna have to lay any more points. I think people are going to look at that and go, "That's a lot of points given the way Cincinnati's playing."
Also, this is the Big 12. It's going to be a muck. It almost feels like in order for the Big 12 to be a complete mess, like Utah just has to win this game just to make things more complicated. And maybe that's just like, is Cincinnati going to be able to traverse the Big 12 schedule without getting tripped up? Like this seems like a classic trip up spot too. So, like I said, I might use my mulligan here. The spread seems a little bit too big, seems suspiciously big, which makes me think there's maybe something up. But let's get the vibes of Brendan Sorsby on the show first before we make a final decision on that.
Yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to have Brendan Sorsby on Tuesday's show. If his vibes are immaculate, Ari, then we just ride this out. Then we pick correctly.
Yeah. Yes.
So you will get a chance to decide, because obviously, you don't have to place any wagers on the game yet. You don't have to do it when we do it just because we picked on Monday. You can wait a little longer and listen to Brendan Sorsby on Tuesday's show. See how you feel. See how the vibes come off. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the On3 YouTube page. We will talk to you on Tuesday.